Well, welcome back. Adam Bazalgette here in Naples, Florida, two-time PGA Teacher of the Year Award winner. Today's subject, how to hit a fairway wood off the ground. Stay tuned. So how to hit a fairway wood off the ground. Pretty important subject. A lot of golfers, unless they hit the ball a long way, wind up with a lot of these shots. We'll show you a little bit about the stroke. We'll show you a little bit about maybe some different lies you'd encounter. And we'll show you, of course, preceding the stroke about the setup, how it varies from an iron to a driver to a fairway wood, etc. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of free content. Would love to get a lot more coming your way. Let's check it out. So first thing let's look at the requirements of impact. This is an absolutely perfect lie in the fairway, but there's certainly no cushion under the ball. So if I was to look at a 9-iron, and you can see a little bit of the wear mark there where the sweet spot is, I'll tilt that a bit so you can see it. I need some forward lean, which equates to a fractionally downward hit to really hit that solidly. Level isn't going to really do the job. I'm going to hit it too low on the club face. Now, compare that, pick that up again, compare that with the loft of a 3-wood, and as you can see, there's so little loft. I mean, the sweet spot's right up against the club. So, yeah, I certainly don't want to hit the ground first. I might need the barest fraction of downward hit, but I do not need a lot of downward hit and shaft lean to get solid contact. I need a modest amount for solid contact. And of course, a modest amount will also give me a little loft coming off the club. Now, if you compare that with a driver, this is at the other end of our spectrum. The sweet spot of the driver is pretty high, but because I've got a tee under it, I can actually hit fractionally up and still hit the sweet spot with a driver. So there's very different requirements depending on the loft and whether or not the ball's teed up. Okay, so now that we see the needs in terms of descending hit as something between a short iron and something like a driver, let's try to make the setup something between those two. That would make sense. Now, let's say as a round number average, you play your driver about off your instep and your 9-iron or whatnot about in the middle. Just play this somewhere in between those two. That should sort of do the job. And fiddle a little bit around with it from there. I might widen my stance a little bit because I'm making a hard swing, but something in between a short iron and a driver setup fits these really well. And if you do that, you'll probably get about the right descending angle. Now, let me just say, I've watched a lot of people try to hit the golf ball over the years. They're not all the same. Some people are young, have quick hips and a lot of lag. I was teaching a kid like that a little bit earlier today. Mishit a drive about 285. I was rolling my eyes. So not everybody's like that. So if you have a lot of lag and strength, you could play the ball further forward and still hit down on it than say a senior who's just had a hip operation and releases it earlier. So customize it to yourself. We're just saying it should be somewhere between a short iron and a driver to get the desired downward hit. Let me say one other little thing here I hope is helpful. If you're going to be an effective fairway wood player, and that goes for driving or long irons as well, you've got to create a little bit of speed out here. That gives the ball some height. It also gives it obviously some length and some distance, which is what makes you effective. Now, a little anecdote. I was a buddy of mine who's a funny guy in golf instruction. He was telling a guy once the guy's all stiff and tight and he's whacking at the ball like this, and he told him, look, you're like a tractor. He said, if you've seen a tractor around a farm, it's great. You can pull up tree stumps, you can carry huge heavy loads in the mud and the dirt, big diesel engine. He said, this isn't a tree stump or a heavy load, it's lightweight. These are lighter than short irons. He said, you need to be more like you need to picture a Ferrari. That doesn't carry a whole lot of stuff around or trailers. It's built for speed. So when you get over this club, you're trying to create club head speed with an economy or a measured amount of body effort. Sometimes that mental picture really helps. So I'm going to make a practice swing here. I felt like that was pretty relaxed, like a, I don't know if I'd say I'm like a Ferrari, but I'm saying that's my mental picture. So let's try one here. This is a 5-wood. My setup, ball position about where I want it here, and just kind of relax. That was a pretty good 5-wood for me. Knocked it out there with a little bit of height. Okay, so now we have a sense of what's required. We have a little bit of a sense of address, how you might want to make adjustments. We're starting to create a little bit of speed. Here's another very, very important thing if you're going to be a good fairway wood player. These, other than a driver, which is on a tee, these are the longest, flattest lying clubs you have, other than the driver, and they have the least amount of loft other than a driver. And when you try to swing these, let's not say try to swing these, when you accidentally swing these too steeply, they will not perform well. You cannot play these clubs well doing that. So it's very, very important that you have what I would call a shallow angle of attack, more of a brushing swing. If you can picture skipping a rock, it's this way. You don't skip a rock from there. From there, you throw the rock into the water. So Hey, we got plenty more on that at Scratch Golf Academy. It's a whole subject in and of itself, but let's touch on it at least a little bit. If you can take a golf club from a golf setup, this is my 5-wood, and you can just toss it out there along the ground, or at least a couple of feet above the ground, you're on a pretty good swing plane. Most people's swing planes, if they truly were to toss a club, would hit the ground with the club like that. Now, I'll bet you, I'm not in a position to collect or pay on this, but I will bet you anything you want that under no pressure with no golf ball, you could take a golf club with no swing thoughts and propel it out there somewhat. If you can do that, you're swinging on about the right swing plane. So, hey, well, let's just touch on it and at least say if you practice that, you might get a few of those little alignment rods and just toss it out there. And when you do that, all you got to think about is, hey, what's my mental picture? How does that feel? And try to recreate that. And as I typically say on these videos, because I'm a big believer in this, start small, relax a little bit. So this is a hybrid, and I'm going to make a little shallow swing and just pop one out there. And I'm starting to feel a motion that would be able to propel that club out there and skims along the ground. Just kind of feel your way into it a little bit. Very, very important component of hitting fairway woods well. So finally, let's touch on different lies a little bit. We've been talking a lot about the fairway. Again, a beautiful lie in the fairway. This is a 5-wood. You can see the ball meets the sweet spot with only a very, very slight downward hit. I can hit that solidly. But if I'm over here a few inches and I happen to get fortunate, nice spongy rough and the ball sitting on top of it, not uncommon in Florida in the summer, I don't need any downward hit now. I can literally brush along the tops of the grass and nail that solidly. So I could actually adjust my ball position and make this a little bit more like a driver if I wanted and hit this just fine. And that would give me the advantage of launching it a little bit higher and releasing it maybe a little bit freer than squeezing down on it. So the variables of the lie might cause you to adjust that ball position we talked about at the beginning to suit the situation. Now, let's say we're in the rough. This rough is pretty good here, but let's say the ball's sitting down there a little bit hairier. If I'm in a situation like that, I now need a little more descending hit again. I've got to hit down for solid contact, and that pretty much means I need a more lofted club, either a considerably more lofted fairway wood or whatnot. And if the grass is pretty thick, I've got to get the ball up out of the grass. So I'm hitting down with a need to get it up. I need a lot more loft, likely an iron. But we could talk about that on another video. Got lots about that at Scratch Golf Academy. But just bear in mind that the differences of what's under the ball or how the ball's sitting in the grass can call for a little different angle of attack according to making sweet spot connection.